Good morning and welcome to this early morning, January 6, 2020 Epiphany. It's actually but yesterday it was celebrated. And that it's something that happened in the Near East, Middle East, and we're talking about the Iran problem or Iran crisis, which is happening near the Middle East. So I said, I'm going to make a video. I have a little bit of time this morning, not too much time, but I'll make a video because I hear people talking about it on Facebook, social media all day long. Iran. And so I said, I'll present my solution. So here's my solution, my plan to solve the Iran problem. Okay. I think it's a great plan. I think it'll work and it won't cause any death or destruction, or it won't cost any money. Good morning, Jay. Good morning, Creatonks. Here's the plan. First of all, first plan, starting immediately, like say today or tomorrow, the United States, so that's number one, remember, number one, United States of America begins pulling all troops out of the Near East, Middle East, from all locations, Africa also, pulling all the troops out, Air Force, Navy, Army, Marines, if they have the Coast Guard there. All military assets, pull them out, send them back to the United States, bring them back to the United States. So pull all troops out. Secondly, in the boycott on Iran, the oil embargo, the trade restrictions on Iran. So in that, immediately, okay. Third part of the plan. The president of the United States has a meeting with the Iranian leadership. Their leadership is a little different. It's not like the president and they have a religious government. That's their business. But anyway, have a meeting with their leadership and sign a non-aggression pact and a bilateral trade agreement. So the United States and Iran can begin becoming trading partners again. We could buy oil from them, or Persian rugs, and they can buy all the American items they would perhaps want. So that's the third thing. So no trade restrictions on Iran, and actually sign a trade agreement with Iran, becoming trade partners and friends, have a friendly relationship with the country. Fourth, begin to end all foreign aid around the world, specifically and especially in the Near and Middle East. But of course, every country. United States gives so much money to Israel and other countries too. Can't just single out Israel, but start ending that. Maybe you don't do it overnight, although it'd be a good idea, but say, okay, every year that goes by, if you're Israel or Jordan or Turkey or whoever, it doesn't matter who it is. You say, we're going to cut back 10% every year. There will be no more increase, but 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%. You say, well, it shouldn't be at all. It's a bad idea to give any foreign aid. I agree. But since we built it up, you want to cut back incrementally. I think it would be fair. Then every time 10% of whatever the amount is, and then you're down to zero. And if you say, well, let's do 20% at a time. Okay, well, that's fine, but just get it stopped. The fifth, I think this is number 5. I lost count. Doesn't really matter. The numbers don't matter. The next step, withdraw from all overseas alliances you see. So get out of the NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, get out of any informal alliances, because the United States is not officially an ally of Israel, for instance, and other countries, but don't even have an informal alliance. Make no assurances to the country whatsoever. Say, look, I know in the past, former presidents and Congress gave a wink and a nod. If you ever get attacked, we're going to help you. Well, starting today, if you get attacked, we'll wish you the best. You do well. But we're going to be totally neutral. We take no sides. So we wouldn't actually get involved in any way, shape, form, or fashion. And that would include any wars around the world. We go back to the old cash and carry policy, which was passed by Congress in 1939. But then, of course, we had the Roosevelt administration trying so desperately hard to get into World War II. That was undermined. But cash and carry is a great policy. We say if you want to buy weapons, you got to pay cash, and you have to carry them on your own ships back home. So if you are in Myanmar or Indonesia or Israel or Bolivia or Uruguay, and you want to buy weapons from American weapons dealers, fine. You got to pay cash, no credits. That's what got us into World War I to a large extent, credits, because people, the manufacturers knew that 90% of the credit had been extended to Great Britain, and if they lost, they weren't in France, and if they lost, they weren't going to get their money back, because these countries were going to welch, and but they do it all the time anyway, even if they're not in a losing situation in a war. But say you got to pay cash, gold, real money at the fair exchange rate. We would prefer gold, but commodity money. And you carry it on your ships. And if the country says, we have no way to get the weapons, you say, well, look, too bad, you know. It's like going to the grocery store. We don't make deliveries. I mean, some do today, but we don't. No deliveries. So think about this great plan. This is a great plan. I'm not a genius. I didn't come up with this plan. Other people are touting this plan as well. I'm just promoting. So it's a great plan. It doesn't involve murdering generals of other countries inside of another country that advised you and told you not to do it. Obviously, an occupied country, Iraq, because their parliament voted to telling the troops to get out of their country. That's a non-binding resolution the U.S. claims. So in the occupation, in the invasions, in imperialism, in the empire. And so this would be a very bold, it's a very bold plan. May not be popular with the Democrats and Republicans. It wouldn't be popular with the military industrial complex, wouldn't be popular with major media. Oh, I don't really care. Most Americans probably don't really care. So we in the empire that was established in 1898, really in 1861, you see, and then we can work on American problems at home. So you're out of the empire business. You know, other countries would be glad to do that. Let them do it. It's their money. Doesn't matter to me. You still trade. They all want to make money, so you can buy and sell from them. Then you work on reforming your country back at home. See, we could reform America here. Go back, and we could be working to get back federal system, a federal republic. It's supposed to be a federal. How do you say that word? A federal republic. Tongue twister. Not a unitary government. Let's see. We'll go back to the original intent of the Constitution, and then you can make a lot of progress and end a lot of problems and work on reforming the voting system and everything. Mihir Upadhyay. He's saying, think about Islam terrorism. Just think about it. Are you drinking anything this morning? Muslims forcibly change our religion to Muslim. Yeah, I'm not trumpeting any Middle Eastern religions. The purpose of this video is not to say, oh, well, these people did this, these people did that. Really doesn't, it's not a concern of the United States. Some regional problems between different ethnic groups in India or Arabia or South Asia, North Asia, Central Asia, East Asia, West Asia. You know, that's really their issues. The United States decided to become the world's policeman. It wasn't, this was not thrust on the United States. See, these are wars of choice. The war on Spain, the World War Part 1, 1914, 1917. Well, the U.S. jumped in 1917. This World War Part 2, 1939 to 45, the U.S. jumping in 1941. Korean conflict, Vietnam War, the Persian Gulf, the Iraq War Part 1, 1991, Iraq War Part 2. No, so these are the United States choosing to get involved. We're saying you don't do it. We're recommending you don't do it. And that's just my opinion. Now, the peace program, let's say the anti-war and peace program, can be unpopular. There's a lot of people with vested interest in that. if you want to do videos on YouTube and you start getting into topics like this, it could hurt your channel. You know, people say, I'm not going to subscribe anymore. But you have to let the chips fall where they may. You can't be worried about that. I mean, you could be worried about it if you're trying to sell T-shirts and mugs and all of this thing. But I don't do any of this type of thing. I feel like I could speak freely. And I don't have a bad, I don't have to defend, you know, I don't have a bad conscience. I don't think you can have a what do you call it? A clean conscience, not having to defend imperialism. So when you're advocating for peace, prosperity, friendship around the world, I think you can have a clear conscience, sleep better at night. And it's easy to defend. You see all these people I deal with on social media, they're trying to defend all these imperialistic ambitions. Very difficult for them to do. And they'll say, well, the Democrats did this, and then the Republicans did that. But if you're like me and you're free of party politics, I don't have to defend the Democratic Party. I don't have to defend, I mean, I'm registered as a Democrat, but I don't have to defend the Democrats, and I don't have to defend the Republicans. I'll let them jab at each other. It's a big racket anyway, mostly. I can't wait to get off work to drink me a Jack and Coke, says Kevin. Everyone is thinking about war. I'm thinking about whiskey. See, if the world would think about things like that, we'd have less trouble. You and I, we want to relax sometimes, have a drink, whatever. But you see, a lot of these people that are involved in politics and world power, they're very ambitious. So, you know, our hobby might be studying alcohol brands, examining, you know, neutral things like that. Maybe it's not that great to do, but it's not bad. But some of these people, their hobby is to like have power and control other people. They have like an insidious evil drive. And we've seen these people in our politics. And you can just tell in their eyes are mad. You know, they're mad for power. And you ask them, and they'll say, what difference does it make? You know, and they laugh in almost a sinister way. Like think of Hillary Clinton has that sinister laugh. It's almost like a demonic laugh. And it probably has, these kind of people probably have a lot of demonic influence in their lives. They're not following God. They're not following Jesus Christ. They're following war, evil, empire, you know, the most satanic approach. So we want to push against that. These people in power, many of them, they're very venal, and they pander to the populace. A lot of people fall for it because they're not aware of what's going on in the world, and Americans are very conditioned to the warfare mindset. You understand, the military industrial complex mindset, imperialistic mindset. And they'll start talking about it, but I can always beat them in an argument. You can win the arguments when you're on the right side of it, right? I mean, if you have logic, deduction, inference, you start with a good premise. The premise would be what? War is not healthy for children and other living things, you know. Their premise is you have peace through war. Like war makes peace. And I don't support, and I have not for a long time supported the peace through war program. We want that to end. You got a president of the United States saying assassinating, murdering a general of a foreign country helps bring peace. Well, that's you just soon followed the Bush and Obama ideology of peace through war. But we don't believe in peace through war on this channel. Okay, so I see your comment. All right, I thought somebody had made a new comment. So that's the plan. Reiterate the plan. Step one, get all U.S. troops out of the Near and Middle East, beginning immediately. Navy, Army, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, out. Bring them home. Doesn't cost any money, see? I mean, it might cost money to bring them home, but then it's done. No money. No war, no killing. Secondly, meet with the Iranian leaders, sign a non-aggression pact and a trade agreement. Doesn't cost any money, except for the trip. That's a nominal amount of money. And just think what Trump would do if he went to Iran and they made a non-aggression pact and a peace agreement. The U.S. say, well, we'll just call the past the past. You did some nasty things. We did some nasty things, but now we can be friends. And friendship is better than war, and peace is better than war. And forgiveness is better than revenge. So then they make a peace agreement, a non-aggression pact, a trade agreement. Thirdly, end all alliances in the world. With formal alliances or informal alliances, pull out of all alliances. Wouldn't cost a penny, really, except for the cost to disengage. That's nominal. So get out of the alliances. Promise to help no one. We don't want people to be attacked. If they are, we wish them the best. We know they'll do well. We hope they do. If not, well, we'll just make trade deal with whoever takes them over. Those things happen from time to time. And so we just follow a peace program around the world. And then the fifth thing, like I said, we work on fixing the internal problems of the United States, which would go back to a large extent, readopting the idea of federalism, following the ideas of the Federalist Papers, which most Americans have never even heard of, much less read. So if we read the Federalist Papers by John Jay, James Madison, James Monroe, then we would solve a lot of problems in the United States. And we wouldn't have all this liberal, conservative struggle, you see, make a lot of peace in America. Okay, he's saying right. Mahir is saying right. Okay, so thank you for watching this video. I think it's a great program. I think everybody should jump on board to the anti-war, pro-peace, pro-trade, non-aggression set of principles. And there's my plan to end the Iran problem. It doesn't involve any war, and it involves making a lot of money. Now, who wouldn't like to make a lot of money? We can make money from Iran. Iran can make money from us. We can have tourists visit in that country if they feel like going there, and probably be a lot of historic sites to see. Go see the historic sites instead of bombing them, which we don't support at all. And then there, people can come over here perhaps and go on trips. I didn't say come live here. I have a different idea about immigration, of course. You probably know that. But to visit, fine, you know. So anyway, short and sweet, simple plan. Just takes boldness, takes bravery, and it takes the ability to shift away from what we've been doing wrong. We've been doing very wrongly for 122 years, and really almost 170 years, in fact. Could argue longer than that. I guess we could argue it's been going on since the get-go. You can make a strong argument for that, but we don't want to support imperialism. So thank you. So keep up the good fight, keep up the anti-war fight, and continue the peace program, the world peace program. Thank you, everyone. Have a great Monday, January 6, 2020.